G'day guys, this is Nick at Stridewise.com, and today we are bringing you the much anticipated review of the Perry mock toe boot from White's. This is White's first boot for under $300, and I'm gonna let my buddy Troy actually do the review today. Troy is actually a writer for Stridewise.com. He's a good friend of mine. He has worked in vintage watches and luxury eyewear, and he really gets like high quality handcrafted sort of goods. More importantly, he's the one who actually happens to have a pair of White's Perry boots, so I asked him if he wanted to do a review, and he said yes. So Troy, you want to take it from here?
Yeah. Do I have to say like g'day mate or something?
No.
While perhaps not as widely known as Red Wing, Danner, or Wolverine, White's Boots is a force to be reckoned with in the heritage boot world and is consistently ranked among the best of the best when it comes to handmade leather boots. But the Spokane, Washington-based company is far from a newcomer. The company has been building boots in Spokane since 1920 and traces its roots back to before the American Civil War. The Perry's release was an event in the American boot industry. With its introduction, White's had not only thrown their hat in the ring of American boot makers producing mock toe boots, they also released their first boot under $300. Upon announcing a new boot in a lower price point, fans of White's, myself included, raised their eyebrows. It's all too common for a heritage brand to be sold off to a larger group and only start to cut corners in production and steadily begin that down market decline. Cough, Pry, cough, Pilsen, cough. But has White's joined in on that race to the bottom? Let's find out. Right out of the gate, the Perry looks the part. There's sturdy, functional stitching all over the place and a hefty heel counter cover that creates that distinct Pacific Northwest vibe that White's is really known for. It feels very reinforced and not decorative as with some of the other mock toes on the market. Speaking of which, the toe box itself is beautifully proportioned. It's not too tall as to appear bulbous, but it's also not too slim or trendy either. It's a really classic profile. The Perry's offered in 3 different oil tan full grain leathers: distressed, black, which I don't have, and the Red Dog, all provided by Seidel Tanning in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Now, White's has actually sent us both the distressed and the Red Dog leathers to take a look at them. The distressed leather is a beautiful waxy brown that shows tones of rugged character right from day one. I mean, out of the box, they already looked like they were ready to get to work. The Red Dog, by contrast, feels a little bit more like a traditional chrome tan leather. That is to say, it doesn't have the same oiliness or pull-up to it as the distressed. Now, finally, while both leathers are the same thickness, the distressed leather feels more dense by comparison to the lighter, almost foamy Red Dog leather, if that makes sense. Between the two, I personally prefer the distressed leather, both for its rugged character and its density. And while it's difficult to predict how both of the leathers are gonna age, I expect that the distressed will develop a little bit more character over time, whereas the Red Dog will probably maintain that initial color and character a little bit more. So if you're not a big fan of that really heavy, roughed up patina, the Red Dog is probably the way to go for you. As for the sole and the construction, the boot is built on White's signature Arch Ease 1972 last and has a very solid combination of materials used for the insole and the midsoles. The sock liner is a very soft ortholite footbed and provides that immediate cushy comfort. Underneath that insert, there's a sturdy piece of vegetable tanned leather, which itself sits on top of a layer of cork. The Vibram Christie crepe sole is attached to a rubber midsole via a 360-degree veg tan welt. Within the wedge outsole is a sturdy steel shank, providing further reinforcement and support. The leather on the Perry is a little thicker than Red Wing's leather, so it's well over 2 millimeters, but still slightly thinner than on the Horween Chrome XL used on the MP service boot. Now, these are actually my boots that I've had for about 1.5 years, which is why they look a little bit, well, worn. Even with the slightly thinner leather though, the Perry still feels really solid and has that satisfying kicker heft that White's is known for. And again, it's thicker than the majority of Goodyear welted boots out there. I would even go so far as to say that if the leather were any thicker, then the boots would start to feel like get into that uncomfortably heavy territory. Now, regarding sizing, the Perry is available anywhere from a 7 to a 13.5 in either the D or double E width. White's advises going 1/2 size down from your Brannick size. However, I found that I needed to go a full size down to get the right fit. While a normal D width usually fits me pretty perfectly, I still found that these were a touch wider than other boots I own. However, having a little bit of an extra room might actually be a benefit to you if you plan on, actually working in a work boot like these. They're not likely to become, constrictive as the foot swells throughout the day. Now, if you haven't yet jumped on the whole hashtag Mocs and Socks bandwagon, or are just new to wearing boots with wedge or Christie soles, you might be a bit surprised at how they wear when compared to traditional boots. Not only are you a solid inch plus taller, the soles have a hefty substance to them that can take a little bit of getting used to. If you've ever walked through like a really wet field and had a bunch of mud caked onto your boots, it sort of feels like that at first. It's not an unpleasant feeling, but it's definitely something you might not expect. On their website, White's proudly boasts that the Perry has virtually no break-in period. While yes, the Ortholite insert does bring an immediate softness underfoot, the veg tan leather and cork layer do still require a fair amount of work to form to the foot. The toe box is lined with a rough suede-like black leather, and the heel counter is this hard compressed cardboard material that's sewn into the back of the boot. And it provides a very rigid cup for the heel to slip into. At first, this combination of rough leather lining on the vamp and the extremely stiff cardboard counter made these boots an absolute blister factory. However, after about a week and a half of daily consistent wear, I put them on one morning and they were suddenly comfortable, and they've only improved since then. Moving on to some pros and cons. The Perrys have a nice balance between that break-in and durability. They're comfortable enough, and I don't expect that they're gonna wear out anytime soon. That's mostly because they have a very high quality leather, particularly the distressed, more oily colorway. They also have excellent arch support and comfort, which is reinforced by that steel shank. This design strikes a nice balance between the classic kind of rugged mock toe you're used to seeing and a little bit more of a slim, modern profile. Cons, while they're priced at $269.95, there are less expensive mock toes available out there, and even though it's their cheapest boot that they've made, it's still not an insignificant amount of money. Additionally, that stiff cardboard heel counter makes the break-in period pretty rough, and though I haven't really worn them long enough to be able to tell, it might maintain that stiffness throughout the life of the boot. I'm not sure. Now, finally, there is a slight disparity between the different types of leather offered here. While I haven't got my hands on the black one, there definitely seems to be a difference in oiliness and density and overall ruggedness between the distressed and the Red Dog. Finally, there are one or two little finishing issues here and there, some little loose threads and bits of glue and things like that. Nothing to super complain about, but again, at $269, they're not inexpensive, so it's worth making note of. The mock toe boot has been a staple in the world of workwear since the 1950s, and while White's hasn't reinvented any wheels here, what they have done is added a serious contender to the healthy list of options currently available. My biggest fear when receiving these boots was that I was going to open the box, look at them and go, I see why these are less than $300. Fortunately, that wasn't the case. Aesthetically, it strikes a perfect balance between ruggedness and trendiness. The size and stance of the toe box is still roomy enough to be functional, but not so much that it looks bulbous. But in the same breath, it's not so slimmed down as to look like it's a trendy imitator or something. Now, whether you're looking for a boot to work in or to get likes on Instagram, don't lie, the Perry is a great option. Most importantly, despite coming in at a lower price point than what is typically offered by White's, the Perry doesn't feel like an exercise in cutting corners. White has taken all of their expertise for creating supportive, comfortable boots and brought it to bear in the category of the mock toe. In doing so, they've created one of the better options available in this style. Overall, the Perry boot is a great boot, pure and simple. It's well thought out, solidly constructed, and fairly priced. All right, so that's my review of the White's Perry boot. For the full written review, clicking the link below. Make sure you like and subscribe for more heritage boot wear, canvas, jacket, bag content and the like. And when you're reading the review, make sure to subscribe to our newsletter as well.